Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Two Norries podcast. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined as always by my good friend, Timmy Long.
Hi, everyone.
Our guest today came down on a horrible wet day in Cork City. Mary Beary, you're from Wexford.
I am.
And you lost a son through addiction, and you wrote a book about it.
I did.
And we have a couple of copies to give away as well.
You have indeed, yeah.
How are you?
Not too bad. Not too
great.
bad. Thank you. I had a rough journey down now to get to you. But first of all, can I just say thank you for having me on your podcast. I did see a show of yours in the Opera House.
I met you.
I met you, I met both of you. Had my photograph taken. And I was just, I was blown away. You know, I found it so emotional. You know, I was just glued to you both and your stories and all. And I've been looking at podcasts ever since and following your own stories.
Do you know, it's very important as well for people that are caught up in addiction to hear the mother's story and how she feels when you're actually watching your son slowly kill himself or your daughter. And that's what it is, because you genuinely don't know when the last time you're going to see him alive is when they walk out the door, and it's very important. But just to go back a small bit, Mary, can you just give us a little bit around yourself and who you are and where you came from, you know, and then we'll get into Martin's story with yourself.
Okay. I'm the eldest of 10. I had a very happy childhood. My parents were great, Danny and Anne. We never had any problems, you know, with, you know, drugs or drink or anything like that. My dad was, he never smoked, he never drank. My mum, she smoked. That was it. So we had a really happy childhood growing up, you know. So I got pregnant then when I was 17 with Martin. I was 18 in October and I had him in November. So, and I wasn't married. I was with his father, all right. So, and I still lived at home. So, if I'm allowed to say now that his father was not a very good man. And back then, lads, I'm looking back at nearly 40 years ago now. Martin will be 41 now, you know. So I suppose when I got pregnant, my father didn't want me to marry this particular man, you know. But I just felt I had to. You know, I would have been very vulnerable back then myself. Like
What year are we talking about?
1982. This would have been 1982.
My mother had my brother Keith at 17, 1981. So similar circumstances.
Yeah.
I was the same. I was born in 1981 too.
They are.
And similar situation to you and your family as well.
So I did. I married him in 1984, and it was a sort of a bit of a violent relationship, you know. But I didn't stay with him long. I left him after 2 years, and I had another partner who was very good to Martin. So I
How many kids did you go on to have?
I just have another son, Patrick. Patrick is actually 33 now next week, the same age as Martin was when he died, you know. And Martin would have left behind 2 daughters. Ashley is 17 and Sophie is 11. Now, we had them both from 2 different women, you know, but they were very good to Martin, you know. He gave him a bit of hardship now a lot of times, but they always stood by him, you know, and I'd be very close to both of them.
Fair play to you for saying that.
Oh, yeah, you know, they are now. I mean, and look, they gave him loads of chances. And I mean, you know, I actually used to tell him, because I say, look, the next time, ring the guards. Just ring the guards on if he's tormenting you. I used to go mad, like, you know, because these were 2 nice girls, you know what I mean? So, and then, look at Martin.
So when did it actually all start, Mary? When did Martin kind of start showing signs that there could have been issues around?
For me, Timmy, for me now, it was in his 20s. You know? Now, look, it could have been sooner. But for me, I think it was around then.
Was he drinking at this stage?
Oh, he liked his drink, lad, and he liked his gambling. He was so funny as well, you know. He was. We were very alike in a lot of ways, because I can be very vulnerable myself now, you know. But, oh God, I could tell you now, I'll just tell you one story. He'd run into me, you know. Now, he lived out on his own this time. You know, he was out in a flat. He run in, Ma, put your house on this horse. This is a cert that's going to win, you know. I said, son, I don't even own my house, like, you know. And if I did, I wouldn't be putting it on a horse. I'm telling you now. But, you know, he'd firmly believed that horse was going to win. And he'd put whatever he had on it. And then it'd lose. Ma, I've no rent money now. So I'd have to pay his rent for him, and like I'm not a wealthy woman or anything, But he was so vulnerable, I remember once he got a message on his phone and it had said that he was after winning money. A scam, like. The same thing ran down to me. "Ma, I'm after winning 10,000 euro, or pounds it would have been." I said, "Son, that's only a scam." I said, they're only now, they'll ask you now for your bank details soon. They won't, man, they won't. No point in arguing with him because he just never really listened.
Yeah.
He done the same. He went up and told me dad. Of course, my dad was, all right. So I just said, "All right, Martin, sure, if you get it, then you can give me a few bob." "I will, ma, I will." The next day, he come down. "Are you allowed to swear on this?"
Of course we are.
Grand. And he goes, "Man, you were fucking right. They asked me for me bank details." He didn't even have a bank account. Thank God.
Yeah.
So I said, "Son, I told you that. Like, they were only trying to get money off you." Fuck's sake, he goes, So that's the type of person
He was innocent in his own way. Like,
He really was, lad, and he'd folly stones. He was very vulnerable. And I always worried about him,
where was he in school?
Oh, he didn't like school, lads. He left school when he was about 15. Now, I tried to get him. I said, "Son, look, we'll get you an apprenticeship, maybe a block layer or, so you'll have a trade." "No, man, no," he'd say, I'm too stupid. It was always this. "I'd be too stupid." I said, "Son, you learn. You have to learn these things. No one is just born a bricklayer." Or,
Yeah.
No. But he eventually did get a job with my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, and he a labourer. And she was killed, like, but he loved it. He loved it and he was happy with that, So he
Good
was...
for his self-esteem to be out working like that.
It was, lads.
And build his confidence,
Yeah, it really was, lads. He was, Now, he did that for a while and he eventually then he got a job on a bin lorry.
Yeah.
Lads, he loved that job. He really loved it, And sure, then he was drunk coming home and in a car one day, lads. He was going home from work and he crashed and he lost his licence, so he lost his job.
Yeah.
So
That was the sign there. Like, did he notice? Like, was there issues with addiction at this stage? Like, did you notice? Like, if he's drinking,
do you know
driving?
something, lads? For me, right? I remember I watched Train Spotting. Remember that film?
I do, yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I was going, I couldn't believe the film. And like for me, to say that my son was an addict. Now, I know there's certain words I don't like. I don't like the word scumbag. I don't like the word junkie. And I will always say this wherever I've done a couple of small talks now. Nothing like yous now. But I hate those words, And I remember actually when Martin died, his my ex-husband's mother, she was a Kerry woman, she rang me, Now, they didn't really have anything to do with Martin. I didn't know Martin was a heroin addict. Well, lads, if she had been in the room with me now, I probably would have bursted her.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what she said to me, And I said, he wasn't. He wasn't. I just hung up on her,
Yeah.
But like he had died from taking heroin and probably other things.
How did he escalate in his drug and alcohol use?
He would have always drank, lads. He liked his cans.
Yeah.
And he never really wanted much in his life, lads. He had his little flat, just ordinary little old small telly, no big flat screen, would never have been wanting anything like that. As long as he had his few cans.
Modest, man.
Really was. Now, the only thing he loved was runners. He'd go down and spend his rent money on, "Man, look at me runners. Much were they, son? 200 euro. Did you pay your rent? No. Did you get any shopping? No."
He hadn't got the life skills at all. Like.
No, he really hadn't, He really had me heart broke. He was so funny, but and he loved sport. He was in North End Soccer Club. It's a big club in Wexford, and he was a very good goalkeeper in hurling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he really, and I tell you, I never forget, he was in the Wexford Park, they were at a match, and Damien Fitzhenry would have been the goalkeeper then. Don't know if you ever heard of Damien. And anyway, at half time or something, Martin went out and he got Damien to take a shot on him. And he saved it. My God, the whole town heard about that.
Oh, yeah.
He was delighted, So that was his one big, step to fame. But
when he's having a drink and he's having a gamble, but when did you start looking at it and think this is becoming problematic?
When I used to go up and clean his flat for him, because I love cleaning. That's my thing. And I'd find tablets and all around. Now, I would never have found needles or anything, but I would find tablets, And I'd say to him, like, what are these? And I don't know, he probably said they're painkillers and stuff. No, I probably believed him in the beginning.
Yeah.
I probably did. But it was when I found out who he was going around with. You see, he had befriended a couple of chaps, boys, like, in town, who I knew were on drugs. One of them was a drug dealer. And so I sort of had many arguments with him, to stay away from these people.
There's a saying in there, show me your company and I show you the man.
So true.
Yeah.
And he always used to say to me, "Man, I'd never take drugs. I swear I'd never." I said, "All right, son." So, I'd have the odd argument with him, and he kept going around with him. And I suppose he'd gradually start getting that bit worse. But he never, like, there was times I'd see him, he'd always come to me for his dinner now, and he might be looking pale and losing a bit of weight. Sure, he wouldn't be cooking or nothing, like, And, I'd say, my son Patrick would say, "Mum, I think he's on something," Patrick now is the total opposite to Martin.
Did they get along?
They did. Yeah, there were 7 years between them, But Patrick tried to look out for him. Patrick is big into his keep fit, loves his weightlifting and all. He's a different type of person to Martin, So I suppose it's sort of, it was going from there, lad, and he had different flats then. And I used to have to get him the flats, lads. Like, Martin wouldn't be able to go on out and talk to a landlord. So I had to sort of make him out to,
Fill out the application.
I did, and lads, I must say the flats that they were giving out to people back then, you wouldn't put a dog in them.
Well,
Now, when I said that to many of them, "Hon, I wouldn't put my dog living in this. You're disgraceful, expecting people to live in them, But anyway,
during the town you're from, what kind is it? What's it like? Is it a rough town? Is there a lot of drugs? Is it a nice town? But
Wexford.
like Wexford town.
Lochgarman or Yellow Bellies, you probably know us, Now, that's not because we're cowards.
Yeah.
Right?
Where'd that come from?
It came from, it was in the 17th century. A Wexford team went to Cornwall to play a hurling match. And they wore yellow sashes around. And I can't remember now who was the king or queen back then. But they won the match and she shouted, "Go on, Yellow Bellies." And that's where we got the Yellow Bellies from, Yeah. So Wexford is a lovely town, lads, Like, when I was growing up and all, it was lovely. Wasn't really rough. I mean, I think I would have known 2 fellas in town that I knew were on drugs.
Yeah.
That would have been it for me, like, And yet I knew them, and, like, they were lovely fellas. I mean, I used to, how are you getting on? Not.
Yeah.
I knew what they used to do, like, But it's different now, lads. Drugs are rampant. I mean, they really are. They're everywhere now. And I even see that in Wexford, There's a lot of drugs around, lads. Really a lot of drugs.
Why do you think that more people in Wexford are looking to use drugs? What way is the quality of life up there? And is there jobs? Is there housing? I know there's huge housing issues in Cork.
Yeah.
Is it similar?
It would be similar, and to be honest with you, lads, you have young fellas that are on the dole, they're getting their money. They don't want to work, like, they really don't. And, I've often watched them going around, and, they're dressed to the best, like, that they're, I don't know what the word is now, runners, is it?
Yeah.
They'd be running for drug dealers with the drugs and that. And that's the way they're dressed. And I suppose, it's such a big attraction to them, I suppose, to be going around all the gear on them. And I mean, if you walk downtown now on the Monday is Dole Day in Wexford, and I mean, you will see them all. You will see them on corners. You will see them collect the money off people because they just blatantly do it.
Yeah, because some people might look at some people that mightn't be aware or educated can look at a situation and think that wouldn't happen to my son or that wouldn't happen to my daughter. You could be the best parent in the world, but, like, when they go outside the door, they're independent adults in the end of the day with all this temptation in front of them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do as a parent.
No, there really isn't, lads. And, for years, Martin's dead 7 years now, 30th of August. And, when you're a mother, lads, or a father, like, the father wasn't in his life, like, you always blame yourself. I mean, I will always partly blame myself. And that's a mother, like, that you couldn't protect him, that you couldn't sort of keep him away. But, lads, when they grow up, they're adults themselves. How do you tell a 25-year-old man not to
You
go
can't.
around with these.
You can't, Mary. Like,
No,
you
you
can't.
know.
And you said something there, like, and you said something about blaming yourself. There is absolutely nothing that you could have done. So blaming yourself is something that would probably need to stop, because
Yeah.
sometimes these things just happen. But I just want to ask you a question around maybe at what point did your relationship with Martin start deteriorating because of his actions around drugs? You're watching your son slowly kill himself with what he's doing to himself.
Yeah.
You know, and that causes conflict. And the reason I'm saying that is because my own relationship, my mother would have deteriorated, and like sometimes family members have to just say, listen, enough is enough. I can't deal with this no more. You're going to have to find somewhere else to live. And it's not that you're a bad person or anything like that. It's sometimes you just have to really protect yourself because your heart is literally broken and you cannot deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, what led up to say that relationship between yourself and him getting into a position like that?
I stuck it out for a long time, lads. I really did. I'm actually,
Mothers do.
Yeah, I'm a very strong person. Also very emotional.
Yeah.
And you know, I went to the counselling. You know, I went to the family support group. I sat around the table with mostly mothers at the table. I think there was one father, and they will tell you, you know, that we cannot be enabling him, you know, and stuff, and that we really should maybe distance ourselves from him. Like, it was grand for you know, if you have a counsellor, they're saying that, lads, but I couldn't do that. He was my son, and I was not abandoning him. No way. I used to always say, if something happens to him now, I'm after throwing him out. I'll never be able to live with that. And that's the way I used to think. Now, I don't know whether the rest
All
of them,
mothers think like that. And
I just couldn't, you know. I just really went to the last with him. I really did. And I remember one day sitting at home on the sofa, and my sister called down, and I was shattered. I was just like bet. And I said, Melda, I might go up to the psychiatric ward in Waterford for a while. I said, you know, I'm bet. I said, you know. But then at the same time, lads, I had two dogs.
Kind of dogs.
I had a Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
I've told them to me of one as well.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
My God, Sky,
babies,
she was a bitch.
That's why I asked.
Right.
Something taught me that you were Staffy. I don't know what it was.
They're my favorite. I love them.
dog's name. Do you know?
I was Sky a Staffy as well.
Oh, Jesus, son. And I had a little terrier, Judy. But they were actually like my daughters. I mean, my dad used to laugh at me when I'd say that. They were actually like my children, and I adored my staff. She actually was my best friend.
They're so affectionate, aren't they, and loyal. And
I wrote a beautiful poem about her, actually. And you know, she was my best friend for the 16 years I had her.
she was a good age.
16. Sure, they were like two queens. Jesus, I used to mind them like babbies. But I love them. She was brilliant. And you know something, lads, I got great. Like, she really
They show you
was.
what love is, don't they?
When I was down and all, but what more the staff now than Judy, you know. But yeah, and even I had lost a sister when she was 36, when she died from a brain tumour. You know, that was the first death in the family. Yeah. And like, that killed us all. And, you know, the dog was just so great for me to have.
We call the two dogs in my house, we call them the ducklings. Because no matter where I am, they're on behind me, trotting up the stairs, down the stairs.
Into the toilet.
They wear out. Zeus is the boy. He lie on the shower mat outside the shower waiting for me to finish the shower.
Yeah.
And then he'll wait outside the bedroom door waiting for me to come out. Or if, you know, he just waits for me and then he's on behind me.
Same.
You know?
I was the very same. They slept with me and all, and I used to say, no wonder I can't get a man.
Or do you know if you're part of
two dogs in the bed with me?
Do you know if you're part of the room cleaning or cooking, and the next you just look over, their eyes are always on you, aren't they?
Yeah. They're amazing now, and I really miss. I was devastated. I lost Martin, me dad, and the two dogs in the matter of 2 years. So I had my sister was before that. So it was really tough, lads. And the dogs was, I think I felt, this might be awful to say, but at the time I felt so bad that my dogs were also gone. You know, the three of them were like, You know,
Be devastated when your dog passes.
devastated.
Jesus Christ, unbelievably.
Oh, the staff's all, you can't beat them.
It's the love. It's you can't explain it, can you?
You know,
it's just a different level of love coming from an animal, and they actually fuck it out. They have a great place in this world.
Yeah.
By what they do, teaching human beings.
We're lucky to have them.
Like conditioning.
Yeah, they do.
We're lucky
now, hopefully, before I die, I will get another staff. I'm always saying that before I get too old.
You know what? You probably should, Mary.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
I love it.
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice for you.
It would be. Yeah, it's just I'm very busy at the minute. Yeah. I've been busy the last little while, you know. So I suppose that's the and I'm up and down to Cork every second weekend because I'm actually I'm a little bit of rebel because I'm going out with a Cork man.
I'm Paul.
Paul Buckley from Ballyvahan.
Fair play, Paul.
Yeah.
Very good.
So just to bring you back, Mary, we were just talking about you know, when things started to go on getting bad.
Yeah.
And you were saying like the one thing you could never do was throw him out or abandon him, and that's so true for a mother. It is, but there's also a time that you have to mind yourself because your heart is absolutely broken. And like you said there, like when you were speaking to your sister, that you wanted to go into a psychiatric ward because of the pain you were in watching Martin.
Your mental health,
do you know?
Well, yeah.
Can you continue on from that?
Yeah, and I did say that to her, you know, and strangely enough, I thought of me 2 dogs. How will I go in? Sure, who will mind me dogs? And that's exactly why I never did anything about it. I said, I really wouldn't have had anyone to mind the dogs. So I said, oh God, the dogs would die without me. So I sort of soldiered on, you know. I soldiered on, and Martin, will I move on to, he first overdosed around 2015.
Yeah.
Now he was going around with these fellas, you know, and I used to follow him as lads at night. You know, someone might ring me, this could be 2:00 in the morning, and say, look, Mary Martin is down, maybe outside one of the pubs, and he's with this fella and that fella. And I get up out of bed, lads, and I go down looking for him. Could be lashing rain because I don't drive. And I go down looking for him, and then he'd have a big argument then if you saw me, following him, of course, you know. But people used to do that because I'd be very well known in Wexford, and my family are very well known. You know, Martin was well known. So I was really killed, like, you know. So there was a lot of times like that now. So he was down in a person's house then. I suppose there was 2 or 3 of them there. He was down there one night, and he had taken drugs, like, and they went up to bed. Martin was sleeping on the sofa. So of course he whatever he had taken, like he overdosed, and he fell on the floor. Now they didn't find him till the next morning. So when they came down, like, you know, he was nearly dead. And he was lying over on his side, so his arm swelled up. There's a word on it now, I it's a medical word, and his leg. So they got the ambulance and they brought him onto the hospital. So someone contacted me then, you know, and
was that phone call when they contacted you? Was that something that you were already waiting for?
Do you know something strange enough when you say that, lads? I never thought Martin would die from drugs. Now that might sound so stupid.
But were you ever waiting on the phone call, like, to say that there was something after happening to him?
I was, as it was going forward, you know. Yeah. I was, you know what I mean? But I think my family were more waiting for that than me. I always thought that he was going to be okay. You know, I used to say, he'll be okay. I tried to calm myself, and then on the other hand, I'd say, oh, Jesus, like, you know, he's on drugs now. He's going to die, like. Yeah. So anyway, I got to the hospital, and yet, even going to the hospital, I was thinking, he's after been fighting now. Someone's after beating the crap out of him now.
Yeah.
I never said to myself, he's after overdosing now.
It's denial, isn't it? Trying to protect yourself from the reality.
I really didn't. So when I got up there anyway, Jesus, the doctors were running around, and a doctor came in to me then, and he said to me, you know, he's after overdosing, you know, and I goes, overdosing on what? And he goes, drugs. Are you sure? I said, are you sure? This little small, you know, Pakistani doctor. And I was going, he must be, you know, no. And so anyway, look, he had, and he was very bad. Like, he even said, look, if you have any relations or family away, I'd advise you to get him home. He said, you know, all his organs were shut down. They had to slit the arm, you know, right down because he'd nerve damage then, and they slit the leg. But the doctor did say to me, I never forgot it. He said, this looks like the first time Martin has actually used heroin. He said, because all his organs are after shutting down, you know? And I never forgot that he said that to me, you know? So he was in hospital for about 2 months. Like, he was in Wexford for a while.
Any brain damage?
I'll tell you now, right? He was in Wexford for about maybe 2 months, right? Then there was no more that they could do from him. Now they had him in a coma. So he
was in a coma for 2 months.
Yeah. There was no, you know, he was in that. So they sent him then to Waterford to try and get his kidneys and all started. And they said to me, now, he said, when we bring Martin round, he could have brain damage. Yeah. Here I was then, oh God, yeah, I look after him now. Sure, I'll get the council to build me a room for him. And I was going through all this scenario, you know, and then someone, that's a nurse, said, Mary, you'll never be able to look after Martin on if he has no, you know, if he's not able to do anything.
Yeah.
I said, I will. I'll look after him. Anyway, that was the end of that.
But you were willing to...
Oh, you give me up. You do, you know, I said I'd be grand, I'll look after him. Yeah. You know, I'll do all them things. And I mean,
where was he when he woke up?
When he woke up, lads, I never forgot it. I was going down the corridor with I think it could have been my brother. And they were wheeling Martin up on a trolley. I mean, he looked hurt, like, you know, he looked like a dead person. And he saw me. Ma'am. I was going to myself, you fucker, you. Oh, Martin, you know, so he spoke, like, and they brought him into the...
he recognised you, he was able to speak. They're all great signs for you.
So we went in anyway, and, you know, the doctor said, look, he was left with a small bit of a brain damage, lads, short-term memory loss. Yeah. You know, so he was left with that.
It happened to a friend of mine.
Did it?
When you overdose from opiates, it's a respiratory overdose. So the breathing goes so shallow that sometimes it stops, or it goes so shallow not enough oxygen goes to the brain, and the brain cells die off over time.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was there all night, he's haunted, we say in Cork. He's blessed that he was, you know, only had minimal damage to the brain.
He was there for about 16 hours.
Yeah. I had another friend then, he'd an overdose, and he was lying against the radiator in the bedroom, and his whole back melted, and he passed away, not because he passed away from an overdose a few months later, but it just shows the power of that Martin laid on his arm all night in an awful condition, and that didn't wake him. And my friend melted against the rad basically, and that didn't wake him. But that tell you how dangerous it is. That's why they always say, especially with heroin users, you don't use alone, because if you go under, you need somebody to raise the alarm.
Yeah. You see, he was left there, lads, and I mean, I remember like his arm was like a leg. I couldn't believe it was so big, you know. So they had told me then what they had to do with it and all, you know.
Drain stuff out of it or something?
Yeah, they slid it, and he had an open wound. And he had to have that dressed every day when he got out of hospital. And I used to have to bring him to the, to get that dressed. Every day I had to bring him up, a grown man, because I know he wouldn't go up by himself.
Did he go back to your house?
He did. I became his carer. He came back to my house, and he was great for a while, you know. And then he started going out again. I used to go, oh, Jesus, you know, I used to follow him and have people looking out for him and stuff like that, you know. But then he eventually did get another flat, you know. Now when you look for a flat for me, I want to move out now. I can't live with you anymore, you know. And I was minding him like a babby, like.
I know, yeah.
But he didn't have the freedoms, you see.
No, he did, because I'd be watching him, you see. And so eventually I got him another place anyway, and sure, he got that. And sure, look, I knew there was fellas going down to the place, sure. Like, they used to rob his clothes and all that, you know, because I'd always hear it. So he sort of went back to that. And I remember I think he owed the drug leader €40 one day. And your man was a bit of a hard chaw now, you know. And someone ran down to me, Mary, there's a fella up in he only lived up around the corner, you see. There's a fella up the road, and he's in Martin's, and he's hitting him. Of course, I ran up. He ran up the road, you know. You're just so full of adrenaline, you know. I mean, he could have killed me, like, but you don't be thinking. So I ran in anyway, you know, what are you doing here? What are you doing at him? He owes me €40. I said, I'll give you the money, come on. So he came out with me, and he waited on the corner, and I ran down and gave him the money.
Smelly €40.
€40. Thank God it wasn't 4,000, lads, because I wouldn't have had it.
I know.
I wouldn't have had it. But, excuse me. But that was it. He never really owed anyone else any money, you know. But they really used him, you know, and look at he just pottered along. He do you know some lads, I think he liked his drink more than drugs, you know, even though drugs killed him, like, you know.
Because do you know what I think? You know why I think why? After a while, the drugs don't really have that much of an effect on you. You're just using this so you're able to function on your daily business. Do you know, but you're not really getting high because your tolerance is so high.
Yeah.
But you always get drunk. Like if you drink a bottle of vodka, it doesn't matter if you're drinking vodka every day, you're still going to get langers. Like,
Yeah, maybe so.
And I think the buzz comes from the drink. In my situation, when I was on heroin as well, after the while, heroin does nothing for you. But it wasn't really drink of me. I used to top up with tablets and Valium and Xanax and stuff like that. You'd be stoned from that stuff then. But after a while, the heroin, it doesn't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
And then you're drinking, you're putting stuff down on top of it. The risk of overdose goes through the roof then.
So how long, Mary, after that overdose?
Right. After that, right, he said he'd go into rehab. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. Into Cumwara, the country.
A tie.
Yeah. I thought then, lads, you just ring up a rehab and they bring him in straight away. I wish. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. They were telling me that he has to be free of drugs for so long, and you know.
Cumwara is one of the easier ones to get into.
Sorry?
Cumwara is one of the easier ones to get into.
Yeah. I brought him to Francis's farm first.
That's where I was as well.
Sure, he gave the person in their heap of abuse. I was sitting outside waiting for him, and the girl just said, we probably wouldn't take Martin out at the moment, you know. I said, why? He said, because he's after being very abusive to us, you know. I goes, did no one else ever be abusive to you? You know, he was really mad, like. But that was it. They weren't taking him, that was it. I tried Cumwara.
Pity.
Yeah. Oh, it was like. And then it was because he had a little bit of the memory thing, you know. So I tried other places as well, and they wouldn't take him. I went to Cumwara then, and I went in, anyway, spoke to the girl, and they were sort of hemming and hawing a bit, you know, saying that he'd have to be off the drugs and all, he'd have to come up and be tested. And then they were going on about, you know, and I said, listen on, I said, you're my last chance here. I said, I've nowhere else to go now if you don't take Martin. I said, you know, so they took him. You know, they said they would take him. Now, he found that terrible difficult, lads.
It's difficult, yeah.
I mean, I went up on a family day, and I went in anyway, and there were all these big hard jaws, you know, like big, I don't know, hard jaws.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
big
Timmy.
fellas, like you, Timmy, the very same build as you. But you know, there were Dublin fellas and there was Cork fellas, and I was going, oh my God, he's really going to find this very difficult. And he did. He found it really difficult. Always wanted to come home. And I said, Martin, you have to try and stay for a little bit longer. Now, I think he said for 5 weeks, which was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
He had a bit of respite, hadn't
You know, he did.
How long is their programme up there?
Oh God,
12 weeks, I think.
yeah, I was hoping he would have stayed longer, lad, you know. But I remember coming home in someone's car with him. Oh man, I can't wait to go out and get drunk. I was going, oh my God, you know. But I was just thinking when you asked me that, he did go into Waterford Psychiatric one time, right? And he went there for a little while, right? And he loved it there. Sure, do you know what he used to do in the evening? Martin used to go to the supermarket and bring back bottles of vodka. And used to be drunk up there. Now, this is a great place, he said. I might stay here for a while. Then I found out what was going on. I said, you may come out of there now, son, that's it, you know? And that's what he was doing back then, up there. So he came out of there anyway, and did he come back and live with me maybe for a small while? And then I think he might have owed someone a few bob. He seemed to be a bit nervous, you know, but he never said. So this went on for a little while anyway, and then we started arguing again, you know, and stuff. And I was, you know, I was finding it very tough back then. So I asked my dad. No, my dad was a great man, lads. Oh my God, he was the greatest man I've
What's his
ever known.
name?
Danny Beary. He was powerful now, a brilliant family man. He said he'd let him move in. Now, my brother lived with my dad, and my parents had divorced by then. So Martin was delighted, and he loved up there, loved him, my dad's. And my brother Danny used to keep an eye on him, because Martin was afraid of Danny. You know, he'd do what Danny would tell him.
Yeah.
You know. So one night came then anyway, my brother was doing night shift and my dad was gone out, probably to mass. My dad was a very religious person. And sure, Martin went off down back to the house to these 2 or 3 chaps. He went down there anyway, and my dad rang me later on. Said, Mary, Martin is not home yet. I think it was about 10:30 or 11. And he goes, hey, I wonder where he is. So I rang Martin. Where are you, son? I'm down fishing on the bridge, ma'am.
Drink Palmas,
You know what I mean? And now they were fishing at that time. And I was going, I wouldn't, I said, are you? I said, who are you with? And you name fellas. And I was going, no, is he now fishing? He hadn't even got a fishing rod. So anyway, I just said, listen, you go straight home to Grandad's now. I said, because he's waiting up for you, and I'd kill you now if you don't go home. All right, Mum. He goes, all right. So that was grand. Now, I never heard any more till about 5:30 in the morning. My dad rang me. Mary, I can't wake Martin up. Right? So I said, all right, Dad, I'll be straight up. Lives maybe 15 minutes up from me. So when I got up there, now he was after ringing the ambulance. Now my dad was there on his own because my brother wasn't home yet. So I ran up the stairs anyway, and my dad, now we had checked him during the night. He would always check him. He looked in on him. And Martin was just lying there. My dad thought he was asleep. Now he could have been dead at that stage. Yeah. But when he went back into the room, then at that time he was in the very same position. So he went over and shook him. And did Martin fall out of the bed? And so my dad couldn't lift him up. He was a very big chap, like. Yeah. And so I came up anyway with a friend of mine, and we went in anyway, and he was lying on the floor like in his underpants, like, and I was shaking him and all, and my dad said, I'm after ringing the ambulance. So of course I went down on the phone and I was eating the person on the floor. You know the way you be. Yeah. Where's the ambulance? I said, Sonny, they're running like over around the corner. Yeah. No sign of the ambulance. Telling me what to do and all. So my friend was upstairs, and he was doing CPR on him. And I kept shouting up, is he, Donald was his name, is he awake yet, Donald? And he'd shout down, no, not yet, Mary. I was there anyway. Where's the ambulance on? I said. So we were doing that interaction, I was shouting up, is he awake yet? No. So I never thought he was going to die, but he was probably already dead. And my dad was up there as well. And so anyway, the ambulance came, 2 or 3 of them ran up the stairs. And my dad wouldn't let me go into the room because they were going to be doing the CPR on him. Now, I don't know what that's like, lads. Some people say they nearly break their ribs and all.
They do, yeah.
So he said, Mary, you wait out there now, please.
Yeah.
So I did. And I went back downstairs. I was sitting on the end of the stairs because my sisters and all were starting to come over then. Someone had rang him and that. And I knew one of the ambulance men, and he came down first. I went to school and I said, Liam, is he all right? He said, Mary, he's gone on. And it was very tough. When I think about it now, and I don't really go up to my dad's house very much now. Yeah. My dad is gone anyway as well. But when I used to go up into the room, I could still see him lying on the floor. So, and then everything happened so quick after that, lads. I had people from the funeral parlour up with me about an hour after, and they were asking me about hymns and all. And I said, Anne, tell them not to be asking me them questions. Yeah. Like I was in a daze for that first year. I would have been in a daze. But I know they were trying to do their job, but I was saying to myself, if they don't fucking stop asking me hymns and all, so they wanted to just get it all really sorted so they could take the body and all, you see. Yeah. And actually, lads, my son, Patrick, at that time, he worked for Senator Windus, and he was on his way to Dublin in a van. I was already up on Facebook that Martin, rest in peace, Martin Beary used to call him, like, he was originally in Morrissey. Yeah. But everyone, rest in peace, Martin Beary. And Patrick saw this on his phone, and he goes. So he rang me, but I hadn't got my phone.
He hadn't been notified yet.
He didn't know.
That's why people shouldn't be putting stuff up,
But it was on it. Martin had probably only dead 20 minutes. So anyway, they pulled in the van, and he rang. He rang his dad. My 2 sons are both from 2 different partners.
Yeah.
But we remained very close.
Yeah.
But he rang his dad, and he didn't. He rang my brother, Ger. Ger was very good to Martin. And he said, you know, what's wrong? He said, you know, Patrick, you know, you better come home. There's, you know, Martin is after passing. So, of course, poor old Patrick had to come back home then. And
That was to me tough.
that was tough. And you know something, I wasn't on Facebook back then, but I couldn't believe it. He was not long dead, and they had it all over Facebook. People were actually ringing me a couple of hours after. You know, like I'd answer the phone and I'd give it to my sister. I'd be going, get on to them, man, you know. But, you know, it was so stupid. That's stupidity, like.
Ignorance.
It's stupidity, like, you know.
But you know, the way down through the years, from listening to you know, down through the years, if it comes across like you're very solution focused, if there's an issue with Martin, you're like in fixer mode, you're going to fix it, you're going to help him, no matter what it is. Let's look at how we can improve the situation.
Yeah.
And even when he was overdosed on the ground, you're on the ambulance, you're trying to. What's it like then when they just tell you he's passed and then that's stopped dead in your tracks? There's no more solutions.
And
like how do you process
It's
that?
funny how you said that, Timmy, because I am a fixer, lads. I tries to I tries to fix everyone's problems. I've always been like that. People will tell you that about me, and I helps everyone. I really do. I tries to help everyone. Doesn't matter who they are, you know. And I've always been like that. So I don't, lads. You know, something. It was.
Do you know that fixer in you?
Sorry.
Do you know the fixer in you?
Yeah.
Fix everybody. What about you?
Do you know something? I used to say to myself, Mary, you can fix everyone's problems, but you can't fix your own.
No, but what about yourself? Do you look after yourself?
Fixing myself.
Not saying there's anything broke to fix. No.
Yeah.
But do you give yourself any time for yourself? Do you mind yourself like?
I do try to, lads. I mean, I don't smoke. I'm not a drinker. I was always big into martial arts. I was actually a black belt in Taekwondo.
Go away.
I was on the Irish team. That was my sport growing up. I went on to teach keep fit classes. But I ended up having to get 2 hip replacements. Okay. So I sort of, Martin died then and I never went back to it because I wanted to look after my hips, lads, you know, because I mean, if you get 15 years out of them, you're doing well. Now, I do try to keep fit, but I lost the zest to do that, you know. But I've recently just gone back to do a bit of training with a friend of mine who has a gym, you know, because, you know, the weight starts coming on after 50. So I said, oh my God, after 40, Timmy. So I've always done that. And that was my, I used to love it. I loved martial arts and I was pretty good, you know.
Do you do any counselling for to help you with your grieving process and stuff?
I went to bereavement counselling, all lovely lads, you know, and you know it was grand, lads, you know. It was very difficult because you're like people would have lost people in their family and that, but none of them had lost a child, you know, and it was very difficult for me to sit there and, you know, like I don't know, it was, but I kept going to it and I made lovely friends. And that's where my book came out of, lads. You see, I was so angry back then, lads. I mean, I had many a row with the guards. I actually, the morning after Martin died, I went straight down to that house and I told the guard, because the guards were in my house as well, when someone dies sudden. I said, I'm going down there now and I'm going to actually kill him. I went off down that road on my own and I pounded on the windows, but there was no one there, you see. And I said to the guard, I said, did you go down and check? Because he's a drug dealer, I said. I think it was about 6 hours after they went to the house. I said, sure, he'd be after flushing him down the toilet then. I gave the guards a tough old time. But a lot of them know me, you know, and they were grand, like, you know. And so...
how did the idea for the book come about?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was on. Sorry, I veers off the subject sometimes, lads. When I was in the bereavement counselling, I was so full of anger, hate, grief. So I used to write these little poems and throw them under the bed. You know, I'd be cracking up. I used to have a baseball bat in my bedroom and I really wanted to go down so many nights and break the windows in that house. But I never did. I wasn't brought up to be like that. And I just said, you can't go down that road.
You're angry.
Mary. I was so angry.
You're angry and you're paying for the last year's son coming out in anger.
So I wrote the poetry, lads, and I used to throw it under the bed. You know, just for myself, that was. So the idea of poetry came into the group. You know, someone started mentioning poetry. They were wanting us to write little poems about feelings and stuff. And I said, well, I'm after writing a few poems. I said, I'll bring him in, you can have a read of him. So I brought him in anyway, and they all read him. They said, Mary, would you not do something with these poems? I mean, these are just telling your story. They thought they were brilliant for what I sort of went through. And I said, oh, geez, lads. I said, like, my son died from a heroin overdose. So I'm going to be, even though a lot of people would have known, a lot of people wouldn't have known. And I said, I don't know, I'll have to think about it. So anyway, I went to my dad. I was going to my dad, he was great. And he said, Mary, if you're wanting to do it, do it. He said, I'll pay for the books to be published. Because I didn't go to anyone, lads. I just, you see, I'm very impatient. I just went ahead and I got them books published. And I hadn't even got a penny. Before that, paid, I think, $2,000. Would you not? No, I could have waited, and I'm sure people would have published that for me.
Yeah.
I said, no, Dad, I can't wait. I have to get this done now. So I went and I got it done, and I had a book launch. Went great in the Wexford Library. I sold it in one or two of the bookshops in town. But after that, lads, I had great ideas of what I wanted to do with it, but it was very tough, and I just wasn't ready to do what I'm doing now. I said, no, I'm not ready.
When you say what I'm doing now, Mary, tell us a little bit of what you're doing now.
I will. Only a few months ago, I was sitting there at home one day and I said to myself, I'm going to get my book republished now, and I'm going to try and get it into schools, GA clubs, soccer clubs, addiction centres, prisons. I want to get my book. Now, I wasn't only going for Wexford, all over Ireland, I said. I want to get my book, right? So I wrote an extra 8 poems and a short story at the back. I went to a man called Frank Staples. He runs the Ask campaign, deals with mental health and all. You see, I know a lot. I knew the mayor then, and I knew a few of the councillors. And I gave him a book and they read, oh, Mary, you should do this, definitely. Brilliant. So they were on board with me. They helped me with the book launch and all. They opened it. I had a great book launch. But then it sort of, after that and after a while, sorry, I'm gone past that. I'm relaunching the book. Yeah. Then I was ready I said, no, I'm on my journey.
Do you have to get out and market it? Do you see, get on podcasts and radios and stuff like that?
See, I am so bad technically. I really am. The pits on my phone. I really am. But I'm going to learn, But I've been on the local radio and all, I've been on. I've got my books into the 49 GA clubs in Wexford, right? I gave them 10 books each. Now, they're giving away free, lads, because what happened was the businesses in Wexford, I went to them, I told them what I was doing. And now I've been to maybe 5 or 6. Now there's more I have to go to. Not one of them refused me. But you see, that's because they were probably afraid to refuse me. Because I would have went mad. I would have known them, and if they had said, I'd have said, what? So they were all very good. And I still have more people that I have to go to, So the books, Timmy and James, have gone to the GA clubs. I'm at present sorting out the soccer clubs. Well, I mean, I've been on to the Secretary of League and people like that. There's 52 soccer clubs in County Wexford, so they will each get 10 as well going forward. I posted off a couple of books to each of the prisons, James. I think there's 12 prisons in Ireland.
Yeah.
Addiction centres. I think I posted off to 40 of them. I can't remember how many addiction centres are in Ireland. But James, not one of them got back to me and said, I was I was hurt over that. I just thought they might have texted me and said, Mary,
an acknowledgement to be nice.
Not one, James. I couldn't believe it. I said, when I go on the radio now the next time, I'm going to... I've all them wrote down in my book. Not one of you. Actually, there was one. There was I think there's a Cunmore in Carlow. Is there? Is there a place in Carlow?
Francis Farm.
They could have been the one that acknowledged it, and they would have taken it. I must look up. But I was very disappointed, lads, that not one of them acknowledged. And, and I even said, look, if you ever want me to maybe, do a little talk, or if there's any of maybe the support groups that would like some books.
And you know what? That talk in a treatment centre would be vital for people in addiction to listen to a mother's story.
Yeah, I would love to do it. You see, lads, there was only me. I was just doing, I know I had some of the counsellors, but at the end of the day, it was just myself. It was just me. I was doing all the running around. See my head? I think I suffer from ADHD. My son always said to me, Mum, you definitely suffers from ADHD. I said, now, Pa, back when I was a child, no one ever heard of that. We were just sort of...
Tip around the ear and get on with it.
Yeah. So you should go to the doctor. I said, I'm not going to no doctor. I am the way I am now, and this is the way I am. But when I'm doing anything with my book, lads, I'm so
Passionate.
Oh, I swear, lads, nothing else matters to me. I have to get my book here now. Jeez, did I? But I find lately now that it some days now it's tough.
Are you on social media?
My friend put me on it there a few weeks ago, lads. She had to come down. So, Mary, you may come down, put me on Facebook, put me on Instagram. Yeah. She put me on them. I've done little videos and I spoke about addiction and mental health. You mean you haven't even seen them?
Yeah. Do you know what you could do as well?
Yeah.
Do you know, on Facebook especially, you can set up your own like community. So there might be other mothers and fathers might join your community. It becomes like a little support group where people message in. I think you,
father support.
Yeah.
I think you could. I think that would be great for you as well as social media. Even though me and Timmy don't like social media either, but it's a great tool to market yourself. Where you don't have to pay anybody to do it for you and get yourself out there.
And what you're doing, really, Mary, is you're marketing the story of a mother who lost a son.
Yeah.
And it's not for any kind of fame or anything like that. What it is really is to show other people, mothers and fathers and anybody that's after losing someone that's really close to them, that they're not on their own.
Yeah.
You know, and that there are others out there who have lost somebody just like you.
Yeah.
And it'd be great to create a network between
like
you,
that.
because there are people out there suffering really badly at the moment. You know,
and I tell you what was great, lads. Now when at my Martin's Mass, I got the priest to speak about the elephant in the room, which was drugs. And I remember I spoke to Father Lennon, and I hadn't told anyone, like, so we were sitting there anyway, and the next minute Father Lennon starts going on about drugs, and I could see people looking at each other like that as if to say, oh Jesus. But I said, lads, I told him to do this, which was, it was brilliant. And I was at a funeral there a few months ago, and another mother lost her son, and she'd done the same thing. And now I know other mothers that would not have done it, their son just died, but people would know that would have been from an overdose, of drugs, like. But yeah, so I was sort of, I even said to her after, God, well done for letting the priest speak about that. Yeah. Now her son is only dead a few months, so we're planning to meet up and have a chat.
Takes the stigma out of it when you talk about
it does, because like, lads, like, to me, I'm very passionate about this. I mean, these young men and women, like, these are human beings. They're sons, their fathers, their brothers. When anyone puts them down, I really do sort of try not to lose the plot with them. Yeah. Like, don't you dare call my son a druggie or a
junkie or fucking...
Or I'll burst you.
Yeah.
No, I don't say that. But I'd often kick it, You know what I mean? I get very angry. I get very angry.
Because when you hear somebody saying it about somebody else, you're hearing it projected onto you and your own family and your son as well.
Yeah.
Because
like, my son was a good person. He was just, I suppose, now, I always knew, I suppose now I'm probably contradicting myself, but I always knew that Martin would never be strong enough to come out of, addiction.
You just wanted him to have a certain quality of life.
Yeah. I always knew he was not strong enough.
He liked to drink too much, like.
Not strong enough. Could not stay away from who he shouldn't have been with, couldn't, even though he loved his out sport, but when he went back playing hurling, he couldn't catch the ball. You know what I mean? So,
if there was, before we finish up, if there was somebody out there listening or watching this that have lost a loved one, could be a son or a daughter or a partner or whatever, and they're struggling at the moment, have you any kind of words of wisdom or comfort or advice?
Well, first of all, please don't blame yourself for what's happened to your son or daughter. I know I said I partially, carry a bit of the guilt maybe with me, but and I also know that it wasn't my fault. I did everything I could for Martin. I really did. And for mothers or fathers who feel that, you know, maybe they couldn't handle it so much, you know, maybe that they had to leave home, you know, they had to put them out. Don't you ever feel guilty for that either. Because, you know, in this life, lads, we have to look after number one, which is ourselves. Because if we're not good, how can we look after other people? Even though, like, there were times I wasn't good, but I still tried to do that. And stay close to your family. You know, go to support groups, speak to people, you know, speak to someone like me. You know what I mean? Don't ever be ashamed. Don't ever be ashamed of your child. Never, you know. And, you know, that's a big thing for me now.
And if people wanted to reach out to you to say hi or ask you a question, how can they do that?
How can they do that? Right. Well, I'm on Facebook.
We can put a link
You
in
can.
the description of this podcast. All they do is click that.
Brilliant. Yeah. And look, as I say to anyone, even in Wexford, you know, I mean, when I do my little videos that go up on Facebook, I will always say, if anyone wants to speak to me about anything, you know, just send me a text and, you know, I'll ring you or send me your number. And, you know, just to say this before we finish, I've had 2 couples that have called down to me because their sons were involved owing money to a drug dealer. Now, I didn't really know these people, you know, I didn't know them well. And they called down to my home for a cup of tea and a chat. And it was great. Yeah. I just, like, I mean, I'm not a trained counsellor or I'd know.
But you have a non-judgmental air for somebody like that. And that's all they wanted at the time.
And I spoke to him, you know, and I said, look, if you ever want to have a chat again, just let me know. And they were so grateful. And I love doing that. And I would love to work in that area, lads, you know. But I mean, I didn't even know me leaving cert. But I just would love to do something like that.
It's never too late.
I know, that's what people tell me.
You should go for it, trust me. The degree I did, my suture, youth and community work, half it is in college and half it is on work placement. So you're not like sitting in college lectures all the time.
Now, and I might
more practical based.
look into that, James. Yeah, I would love that now.
Even a diploma or something part-time.
You know what, Mary?
Yeah.
It actually sounds like you're already helping people.
Oh, you're doing it.
I am, I suppose, you know.
But it'd be nice to get paid for it, you know? Like if you, as your job.
I mean, I'm actually my mum's carer. Right now, both my sisters, actually 3 of them, they really help me out a lot. You know, they're really her carers at the minute now. And I actually clean up the golf club part-time for a few extra bob. But it would be lovely just to do something that I love and get a few bob for it.
Exactly.
I'd love that.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
No, I would love it
But
now.
it's there for you if you really want it.
Yeah. And I might actually look into that, James.
There's footballers out there doing something that they love. They're getting fucking $500,000 a week.
But even when we started the podcast, there's something we were passionate about. And then they start, after a while, it becomes your job. You start bringing in, but you never know how things work out.
Brilliant.
But come here, it was a pleasure talking to you.
And you.
Mary.
And remember, if you're ever looking for a woman to come on board, here I am.
The third Norrie.
The third Norrie from Wexford.
I'll have to call a taxi outside in the river because there's none.
I know, there's floods in Cork.
Come up the road in a canoe.
We'll have to get someone to come down in the Coast Guard to drop us up the road.
I know, yeah.
But listen, thank you so much,
and
Mary,
thank you
for coming
both so
down.
much
and
for
it's a
having
pleasure meeting you.
Thanks.
And you're an absolutely beautiful soul, and you're going to help so many people with your podcast. So
thank you very much, and
Thank you.
Continue doing what you're doing. I have great admiration for both of you. I think you are just brilliant.
Thank you very much. We see everybody next week.
God bless.
God bless.
Bye.